Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of At the Horn. I am your host, Aidan Mannix, and I'm joined by my co-host, Max Bros.
Aidan.
And in today's episode, we are going to dive in on the players that we believe should be the MVP, Defensive Player of the Year, and many other awards. Not predictions for who they will be at the end of the season, but more so our picks for as of today. So let's jump right into it. Start with the big one, the MVP. Max, who is your MVP so far this season?
Yeah, I think the obvious pick would be your Shays, right? Your Jokic's. But I'm gonna be a little bit different with this pick. I think the Sixers aren't a fluke. I'm gonna go with Tyrese Maxey leading the league in scoring. And doing so at a rate that just seems like he's in full control of the game. He can score at all three levels. He is a underrated defender. He is a great passer, and I think he is critical to the Sixers having any form of success this year, despite having a crowded guard room between VJ Edgecombe, Quentin Grimes. McCain just made his return back from injury. You obviously have Joel Embiid, who can take up a lot of those field goal attempts. But I'm really high on Tyrese Maxey this year. I think also Giannis is certainly somebody who'll be in the mix as well if the Bucks keep it up.
Yeah, I think Maxi's right up there for me. You know, he's leading the league in points per game. He's leading the league in minutes per game. He's had a huge impact on a team that many thought might not even be a playoff team. They've been so red hot to start the season, and a lot of that is due to Maxi. He's been carrying a lot of weight on his shoulders with the uncertainty of Embiid, him being in and out of the lineup. You know, you could argue that that very well could have had an impact on the Sixers. You know, when a player's in and out of the lineup like that, it's hard to build this kind of chemistry and camaraderie. But they've done a good job. They're what 5-2 now, 6-2 now on the season. They lost a tough game last night to Chicago, but overall have been very good to start the year. My pick though is the expected pick. It is the boring pick. I think Shea Gilgeous-Alexander has been the MVP so far. I mean, the numbers are just as good as they always are. He's at 33 points, 5 rebounds, and 6.5 assists. Those are MVP numbers. And to me, the stat that carries him over the top is the fact that the Thunder are 8-0. They're 8-0. Shea has clearly been the most consistent player. This is all without Jalen Williams. To me, it's got to be Shea. And then right behind Shea for me is Giannis. Some of Giannis's numbers kind of caught me off guard and how well he's shooting the ball. He's at 67% from the field. And he hasn't been shooting a lot of threes, but he's up to 60%, which is definitely notable because if he can every once in a while hit the open three, that opens his game up so much. The Bucks have been a bit of a surprise with being 5-3. I thought many people thought they'd be in that like play in kind of range. And again, obviously it's very early, but Giannis's impact on a team that has no one else that's even close to an all-star has been very impressive. So those are my main guys.
Yeah, I think Shea is Shea. Mm, we'll see if voter fatigue comes into play. Damn, that was
Yeah.
a bar. But
The
but yeah,
defensive player of the year, right? Well, do you have any other comments?
I think with Giannis, obviously he brings the defensive side of things. So that's why between those two, I would give him the nod. But I'm rolling with Maxi this year.
Can't blame you at all. He's been great. For defensive player of the year, I think we're both going to agree on this one. I think
We can
Victor
make it quick.
Wembanyama
It's
is
Wemby.
totally the best defensive player this far. He's averaged nearly 5 blocks per game, which is just unbelievable.
Yeah,
The Spurs defense has been great. Um, and I mean, it's just like it's also the eye test, right? It's not just the stats. You can tell that players around the league are intimidated and threatened by Wembanyama when they go into the paint, and it shows. It shows on the court, and the Spurs having as good of a record as they do without having, other than Wembanyama, a very solid offensive presence, especially with De'Aaron Fox not playing because of injury. I think what's been carrying them is the defense of Wembanyama.
I agree, and I think in their home open, actually, I guess away opener against Dallas, we used to talk about Anthony Davis in this light, and he looked minuscule compared to Wemby. And so, yeah, I think he's the clear. As long as he stays healthy, there's no doubt about it. He'll be Defensive Player of the Year.
The only other name I'll throw out there, not that he's anywhere close to Wembanyama, but Dyson Daniels has impressed me once again. His steals numbers are crazy, just like last year. He's averaging 2.5 steals a game. He's to me, he's the perimeter defensive player of the year. If you want to give the big man award to Wemby. But yeah, I think as for rookie of the year, the rookie class has been awesome this year. I think the clear favorite going into the season was Cooper Flag. I think that was most people's picks. But for me at least, I think the clear favorite right now is VJ Edgecombe.
Yeah, sure. If you had to give the award today, it would certainly go to him. I think his biggest leap that we've seen is his efficiency. Um, Coming out of college, that was the big question mark at Baylor. He had pretty low efficiency in shooting numbers, and it was more so labeled as this athletic, like freak of nature, with like a 42-inch vertical and a tremendous prospect, actually out of Lehigh from Long Island, New York. So he's someone who I think if he keeps it up, obviously that award's his. But I wouldn't be surprised if Cooper Flag kind of starts to find his groove and over time takes over that spot with the season. But if this award is given out today, a tenth of the way through the season, sure, yeah, it's BJ Edgecomb's award to lose.
Yeah, I mean, obviously with these awards, they can change so much so quickly, especially with Rookie of the Year. One player gets hot and that's the difference maker. So, yeah, again, right now it's VJ Edgecombe. I'd like to give a shout out to Dylan Harper too. He's been playing great, especially like at least with Edgecombe, he's getting a ton of minutes. But with Dylan Harper, there are just a lot of guards in the rotation, and then especially when De'Aaron Fox comes back. But he's still really proven himself, averaging 14 points per game, 4 rebounds, 4 assists in less than 30 minutes. I think that's very impressive, and I think that gives him the edge over guys like Cooper Flag or Conkanipple.
Yeah.
So, Coach of the Year. This one's always a fun one, the to kind of talk about the teams that have outperformed so far. I think those are the teams that typically win Coach of the Year, right? The teams that we expected to kind of be in the lower echelon of teams, and then out of the gates they play a much different style. That's kind of how it was with Kenny Atkinson and the Cavs. I think that going into that season, we expected the Cavs to be kind of like a 4 or 5 seed in the East. They wildly outperformed that and were the number one team in the Eastern Conference. Right now, to me, it's the Coach of the Year winner has to be Billy Donovan. The Bulls being 6-1, I think no one saw that coming. Everyone said this team is a play-in team, and sure, it's very early, things can change, but the team looks really, really good right now. In large part to Josh Giddey, and in large part to what Billy Donovan has put together. I think that they've changed things up this year, and they're a very, very fast-paced offense, which has done wonders to them. I think Vucevic has taken a step up
It's been
actually this year,
unbelievable. Yeah,
right? He's been awesome.
it was that was not on my bingo card at
Yeah.
all. I remember watching Vucevic at Madison Square Garden about 10 years ago, and he was like doing this warm up. He was just gliding, and he's a unique big. A few friends of mine who are Bulls fans are not the biggest fan of him going into this year, and we're kind of confused on his fit with this roster. But he has shut them up. He's been an unbelievable player this year, kind of going back to his Magic days when I believe he made an All Star team, or at least was a fringe All Star. So yeah, I think they've obviously exceeded expectations. I think that's a good poll, but I'll go just for the sake of a first year head coach, Mitch Johnson, with the Spurs. I think he's taken a team that is very young, a team that's currently battling a lot of injuries between De'Aaron Fox, who we've not seen a lot from, and their rookie, Mr. Harper, is also out. So if they can keep it up, he's got the award for me. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean that was my honorable mention, right? Like that those were the two coaches that I was deciding between because the Spurs have looked great. And again, like you said, this is without De'Aaron Fox, so they could very well take it to the next level once Fox comes back. They look great. Their one loss was to the Suns on a back-to-back. They were clearly tired, so I don't hold that loss that much against them. They've beaten a lot of good teams so far, and I think this Spurs team is legit. I think they can make some noise in the playoffs. And yeah, like you said, this is Mitch Johnson's first full season with the team. So I think you kind of have to take that into account when you're discussing a guy like that. I think that gives him a little extra bonus points because of the sense that this is also new to him, at least as a head coach. So I think that's a good pull. And the Spurs, yeah, definitely outperforming expectations. And I want to make one more point about the Bulls because, they've been doing this without Kobe White too, right? And he's a high level scorer for them. So I think once he comes back, they could continue to win. And yeah, Vucevic, I think the key with him is that when he was with the Bulls prior to the season, it was a lot of him playing with Zach LaVine and DeMar DeRozan, who are very ball dominant players. So I think Vucevic is at his best when he kind of has like a playmaking guard to set him up. And that's exactly what Giddy is. And then I think you have a lot of role players stepping up. Buzelas has made a nice jump. Ayo Dosunmu has looked great. It's giving the Miami Heat vibes from a few seasons ago. They just have this collective, a lot of role players stepping up, and I'm curious to see if they can keep it going. In terms of most improved player, this is another fun one, right? Because like every year, there's always a player or two who moves up the ladder of being a very, very solid player to becoming a fringe all star like player. And I think for me, this is Josh Giddey. I think he's the most improved player right now. I mean, the Bulls being as red hot as they are, I can see you shaking your head disagreeing with this one, but right now he's averaging 23 points, 10 rebounds, and 9 assists. I think the big knock on Giddey before this was, does he really contribute to winning? When he was on OKC, sure, they were winning games, but he was kind of the odd man out on that team, and then they won the championship the year they got rid of him. And, when he was on the Bulls, they had their struggles. But this year, I think they've kind of figured it out. I think Billy Donovan has figured out a way to utilize his strengths to make this team a winning team. And so if you had to ask me who's the most improved player today, I think it has to be Giddy.
I don't think it has to be by any means. Um, I think, in fact, I'll take the guy who has jumped 11 points per game, Austin Reeves. Unbelievable start to the year, hitting game winners, putting the team on his back without Luca, without LeBron. They're winning. LA basketball is back right now, and he's at the helm. Um, Unbelievable start for Austin Reeves. So if I had to give a most improved, I'd either give it to him or before I'd give it to Giddy, I'd give it to Avdija. I think Denny has been unbelievable as well. Something we both expected coming into this year. Maybe not 24 points per game good, but he's doing that at near triple double numbers, guarding probably the second best player on the court at any given time, too. He's no slouch on defense either. So those are my guys: Austin Reeves, Denny Avdija.
Yeah, so for me, my second guy, and that's the thing with this award because you can take it in so many different directions. It could be the young player that's taken that jump, or in this case, it's that all-star fringe player who is becoming an MVP candidate, and that's why my second pick is Tyrese Maxey. The fact that he's leading the league in scoring this season, he's just made such a large jump, even though he was already considered an all-star like player. Now he's that MVP candidate. So as of today, he is up there for most improved player for me. All right, yeah. Now we can talk about six man of the year, and then we can get into our own awards that we've come up with. But for six man, my winner is Jeremy Grant. He's averaging over 20 points per game on great efficiency, over 50% from the field. He's got 44% from three, and the Blazers are looking good. I think that they made the smart play, even though Jeremy Grant has a huge contract, right? Is making a ton of money, the most on the team. They still decided, you know what, your best fit as our sixth man, and it has contributed to winning at a high level right now. And I like Denny Advia and I like Tumani Kamara in that starting lineup. Grant is that perfect punch off the bench, 20 points per game, good efficiency. He's my sixth man.
I agree. I think the Blazers have been really impressive, given all the turmoil outside of the locker room. to still have, I guess, that level of composure. I think they went out and beat the Warriors immediately after the news of Chauncey Billups went out, and they got Tiago Splitter at the helm, who I think is such a cool thing seeing him be a head coach. I think having the veteran presence of Drew Holiday has helped probably. You got championship DNA now in that locker room to help mentor some of the young guys. You got Shaden Sharp, who's obviously a score first guy. I think he needs to work on being a bit more efficient, and now he has the pieces around him to work on efficiency and picking and choosing his shots a bit more. So once he makes that jump, I think they're certainly a team to watch out for it as a I can see them. You mentioned the Heat earlier, having a bunch of role players. They were an 8 seed and they made it all the way. I think something like that, I wouldn't be shocked to see out of the Blazers.
Yeah, they're a hardworking young team. They give me they're not exactly the same, but they kind of resemble almost that jump that the Thunder had between making the play in and going all the way up to the number one seed in the West. I don't think this Blazer team is going to have as big of a jump, but it wouldn't shock me if they finish as like a four seed in the West and maybe even win a playoff series. I think that this team has that talent. They're so hardworking. They're well coached. I think they're in the mix for sure. And as you mentioned before with the Heat, that actually runs into who my honorable mention is for sixth man of the year. Jaime Jaquez has been great. He's had a real bounce back year so far. He's averaging almost 17 a game, 7 rebounds, 5 assists, shooting 60% from the field. He's been awesome for them. He hasn't had a single bad game. And, after his rookie year, he had a very disappointing second year. And I think a lot of people were very low on him. So it's nice to see him having a bounce back season.
Yeah, and I think with the departure of Duncan Robinson, it definitely opened um, kind of the playing time up for him a bit more. So I think he's certainly someone to look at. Obviously, AJ Mitchell with the Thunder, I can see his numbers maybe coming down a little bit as we have J Dub coming back from injury. So yeah, I think those are kind of the four guys that we mentioned are certainly the ones that are in the mix for sixth man of the year.
For sure. So now on to the most underrated player of the season. And so when I was looking at this player, I was kind of shocked with how much of an impact he's had. Because for most of his career, this player's been viewed as just like a high scorer on a bad team type of player. But I'm gonna give most underrated player to Kelly Oubre.
He
Right
was
now he's
he was
averaging. That was
he was
yours.
my second. Yeah.
He's averaging 19 a game on solid efficiency. And I don't think Oubre has really had a chance to play for a really good team. He's always been on below average teams, but this year he's completely bought into what they're trying to do. And all the talk for the Sixers has been Tyrese Maxey and VJ Edgecombe and even Quentin Grimes, but no one is talking about how well Oubre is playing, and I think they should be.
Well, Nick Nurse certainly was. I think he said he had the greatest game of his career a few nights ago. So he's certainly being recognized by his coach. My other guy was in a similar note, not necessarily a scorer, but a defensive first player who has made quite the leap. I'm going Jaden McDaniels.
Okay.
He's someone who shockingly is averaging 19 points on 46% from three,
Wow.
who is guarding every single night the best player on the court, 1 through 4. So by far, I think he's my underrated player. With that shooting splits, I think it's hard to go against that when he's always kind of been viewed as this. Okay, he's on the court for defense. He's a lot more than that this year. So really surprised with that. But I think if he keeps that up, he can maybe even flirt with an all-star bid
Wow.
argument by some fans. I know Anthony Edwards would probably be the first to endorse him, but he probably wouldn't make it. But would be interesting to see
It's
if he can.
it's gonna be hard because of Randall's having a great season too. So
Sure. Yeah.
three Timberwolves might be like We'll see. I mean, some teams end up getting that third player. If the Timberwolves can start winning games and be one of the top seeds, it's certainly possible. I think you nailed it with this one. McDaniels has been off my radar. I been meaning to watch more Timberwolves games this year, but I just haven't been. They play the Knicks tonight, so I'll get to start watching it firsthand. But I did not realize he was scoring that many points per game. And like you said, the 46% from three. I mean, it's clear he's been working on the shot this offseason because coming into the league, he wasn't viewed as a shooter at all. That was his big weakness. If he can continue shooting at just over really at a 40% clip, that would be unbelievable. The fact that he's at 46 right now is crazy. Yeah, he's underrated. He was not on my radar at all. I think that's a great pick. My honorable mention is someone who you named for most improved player, Denny Avdia. Denny Avdia has been so good for the Blazers, and he was so good last year. For the second half of the season, he was averaging over 20 points per game, and right now he's averaging 24 and 6 on good efficiency. The Blazers are playing well, but I think all the talk is about the Blazers team basketball, which is very true. But I think Denny Avdia is clear and away the best player on that team.
For sure.
So next up, we have biggest surprise, and this award is very similar to most improved, but I kind of had a few that I thought fit this better. And funnily enough, who you had, the other one you had for most improved, Austin Reeves. That's who I have for biggest surprise. He has been so good. It's funny. I had a chance to pick him in fantasy, and I just kept thinking, oh, Luke and LeBron, like they're going to be the ones showing up. Reeves is going to be in their shadow, but Reeves has taken a big step up. Obviously, LeBron's been injured, and Luka missed a few games, but even so, even with and without Luka, he has been unbelievable. Like you said, he hit that game winner. He had that triple double. He had that 50-point game. He has been so damn good. And, if he can keep this up, I mean, I can't see why the Lakers wouldn't be in contention for a championship alongside teams like the Thunder and the Nuggets. So to me, he has to be the biggest surprise.
Yeah, I think again with your has to be. There's others.
I'm very opinionated.
Yeah, geez. So I got two. One of which I was going on the NBA.com points per game list and saw 23 points per game for Keontae George. Um,
Damn.
Shocking. Similar note to Edgecombe. Efficiency is a problem. Both of them Baylor products. Um, Both of them inefficient. Edgecombe beating those allegations. Keontae George, not so much to the early start of his career. He's shooting, I think I see, yeah, 27% from three, which
Ooh.
isn't great. He's if you're almost averaging what you're shooting from three, um, it's not the best diagnosis. But still surprising nonetheless that he's averaging 23 a game. The other guy I have is a Milwaukee Buck role player, Ryan Rollins,
Yeah.
averaging nearly 17 a game. Would have never guessed that. Honestly, I didn't even think that he was going to crack the 8-man rotation, um, albeit 17 points per game. Like that's certainly surprising. So those are my two guys: Ryan Rollins, Keontae George.
Yeah, Rollins has been great. I think he deserves to keep the starting spot once Kevin Porter Jr. comes back from injury. I think he's clearly earned it. The Bucks have been playing pretty well so far, and Rollins is a big part of that. They even won. I believe they won against Golden State when Giannis was out injured. This team fights, and yeah, Rollins has been very unexpected.
Rollins had 32 in that game.
Yeah, he's been great, no question. Um, so my honorable mention is someone who actually won a Most Improved Player award in the past and then kind of fell off for a bit, and now he's back on the rise. I have Larry Markkinen. Markkinen's averaging over 30 points per game. He had a 50-point game not too long ago, and I think he's back in that All-Star selection debate. Now, granted, the Jazz are not good at all. They're one of the worst teams in the league, but especially with the format of the new All Star game, with it being U.S. versus World, and then having a few more open spots for the World, I think Markin could definitely make it in. Aside from that, just as a player, like I said, 31.7 rebounds. That was not on my bingo card this year for Markin, and I think he deserves some recognition.
Agreed.
All right, our final award is an award that you do not want to win. It's biggest disappointment.
I've
Um,
done that a few times in my life, but
Oh my God. Yeah, maybe. Um, so for me, the biggest disappointment, Desmond Bain. The Magic traded 5 first-round picks to get Bain, and he has been awful, to put it bluntly.
Yeah.
He's averaging under 14 points per game, shooting 41% from the field and 29% from three. They brought this guy on to be their main 3-point shooter, and he has been one of the worst 3-point shooters on the team. So I think, especially given the package they gave up to get them, with the way the Magic have been playing, to me, Bane's the biggest disappointment.
Yeah, I think I in the first episode of this podcast referenced how he gets in a fight in every game. Funny enough, I was at the game yesterday, Magic Hawks, in which he was kicked out for volleyball spiking a ball into Onyeka
I
Okongwu's
saw that.
face. So it was really kind of poetic that he got thrown out of the game that I saw him play. And yeah, he's been terrible. I think I'll go with a few guys. I think Ja Morant.
Yeah.
I think he's been disappointing from a playing perspective, but also from I was hoping that he would maybe take that leap from a leadership role to immediately not even 8 games into the year, throwing his team, his coaching staff under the bus, facing disciplinary action for that. It seems cyclical at this point, and he's such a unique talent and such a unique player that I just expect more out of him. I think also there's a duo out in Washington, CJ McCollum and Chris Middleton, both severely underperforming. I think they brought them there to at least give like 16 points per game each and be a veteran presence. And they're both barely scratching 12 points per game. And like they're score first guys, they need to score and help out those young guys develop. And right now, they're not doing that in my eyes. So those are my two also disappointments. But
Yeah.
also not disappointments outside of the basketball court. Just want to be clear, all these guys are tremendous athletes.
Yeah. So I will say, CJ McCollum especially has had a fall off. He had 9, 10 straight seasons averaging 20 points per game, including last year, and now he's all the way down to below 12. Like that. I mean, you would expect
In a
him to fall off a
team
little
that
bit.
I would expect him to average 26. Like
Yeah, with the Wizards, you're so right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So that's a good pick. Okay. So for my honorable mention, I have a question for you. So my answer is Derek White because White has just not been great so far for the Celtics. Try to guess. What do you think Derek White is shooting from the field? Now, obviously, me asking that
yeah,
makes it
I
seem
think I
like it's
saw
one
it
of
was
them.
like in the 20s or something. I think he was shooting like 27% from three or something like that.
So he's shooting 26% from three, right? What do you think
Okay.
he's shooting from the field?
Well, I'm guessing that given Joe Mazzulla's offense, 90% of his shots are threes. So I'm gonna go like 29 or 30% from the field.
He's shooting 31% from the
Okay.
field.
Yeah.
That is brutal.
Not
I
good. That's
mean,
for sure.
okay, so now I'm interested because, and you're right, a lot of his shots in Joe Mazzulla's system are going to be threes, but I want to see how many 2-point shots he's been taking a game because, I mean, this is horrendous. And obviously, like, he's been a good shooter throughout his career, but he's had so much talent around him. And now that the Celtics' talent is greatly reduced, he's really struggling. So he is shooting. Wow. He's shooting 6.32 pointers a game. He's shooting 38% from two. Like
That's not great.
that is horrendous. So yeah, he's up there for me for biggest disappointment. It's funny because I remember Stan Van Gundy said on the broadcast the first Amazon Prime game. His prediction was not only will Derek White be an All-Star this season, but he would be All NBA. And that has not been the case at all. He's been,
Love
in my
Stan.
opinion, one of the most disappointing players in the league. Um, and so the Celtics, just in general, have been very disappointing. Jalen Brown has picked it up. He's been playing pretty well the last few games, but Pritchard's been disappointing, and definitely Derek White and Simons too.
Fair enough.
All right. Any other comments on any of our awards? You got anything else to add?
No, best of luck to since I know all of them are watching. Best of luck on the rest of the year. And I guess we'll see what it looks like in 20, 30 games from now if our line of thinking stands correct.
Yeah, I think at the midway point of the season, we should kind of run this discussion back, look at our old predictions, and kind of come up with new ones. Well, I guess these aren't predictions, but we'll come up with at the halfway point who's the MVP been, so on and so forth. Um, but thank you guys so much for tuning in once again. We hope you enjoyed the episode. Please don't forget, like, subscribe, and comment, and we will see you all in the next video.
Deuces.